Well, last weekend was an interesting race at Donington Park. No, Paul Ricard. I'm getting my days mixed up over here, but it's been a long day for me. But Paul Ricard, yes, it was interesting. Julian Vanbrugh taking home the win in Pro. Raphael Hill taking home second. Both not here today. Very interesting. Timothy Flanagan taking home the third place. It was a very interesting race in the few incidents, as you know, the first sector in Paul Ricard is quite tight. Drivers want to fight each other, but very interesting indeed. In silver class was one to watch as well. But yeah, here we are at a wet Indianapolis in America. It's wet, dark, and a big old pit requirement they have this evening. So, anyway, my name is Ted Edwards, and joining me on the mic is Jesse Lee, and on the cameras this time is our very own Ash Bibby, who is not driving tonight. He is hurt his back a little bit, so he is doing the cameras, letting Jesse have a little bit of a breather tonight. Thankfully, Jesse's been working very hard the past 2 weeks. But how are you, Jesse? I hope you are well. You did some commentary today in the World Tour. How is that voice of yours?
Nope, sure didn't. I was the broadcaster.
You
all
were the
day
broadcaster.
today,
I do
so,
apologize.
little bit of brain drain on that, concentrating for 4 straight hours. But you know what? World Tour round number 1 for 2024 was absolutely epic. Not a lot of crashes, but a lot of good racing and overtaking and strategy to boot. Tonight, what will we see here in Speedway, Indiana? I would imagine a lot of the same. Season 17 of Night Owl has done nothing but deliver. I wouldn't expect tonight to be any different. A little bit smaller field, Ted, and I would reckon that's due to where we are and, of course, the weather conditions, and, of course, also the lack of daylight a little bit as well. A lot of drivers cashing in their mulligan here tonight.
Yeah, and don't forget the World Tour was on today, Jesse. 4-hour race. The first round of the World Tour was on. We'll get some more into that during the race. It was very interesting indeed. Probably why me and Jesse are a little bit tired tonight. Been a very busy day for us over here at RCI TV. But yeah, a lot of people have decided to opt out of tonight. So I don't blame them. It's wet, it's dark, it's Indy. Redford is following someone. I don't know who that is. I think that's Masatoshi Kaneko, the 740. But yeah, it's gonna be quite wet for a while, as you can see by that weather radar top right of your screen. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We haven't been here for a while in Night Owl, and the rain has come after a few races. I haven't had the weather rain like this for a while, so it's interesting to see what cars are good in the wet. I'm not really sure, Jesse. I don't know about you.
Well, of course, Indianapolis is one of the great equalizers. Lamborghini should be pretty good here, as long as it doesn't get too wet, that is. Porsche will, well, if we had any Porsches, they'd be pretty decent here as well in the mildly moist. McLaren, quite dominant indeed. Ferrari, it's been a few patches, so I can't speak too much about the Ferrari. It was one of, if not the best cars to use here a few patches ago. Audi is also a formidable car to use at this track. I'm looking for Miguel Martins maybe inside the top 5 here tonight. The BMWs are the question mark and the wild card for me tonight. Them and, of course, the Lexuses, Lexis that we're not accustomed to seeing, but because this is a North American BOP circuit, those kind of cars that typically are found here in North America more often have a little bit of an extra edge than some of the other cars. Les goes top of the group for silver for the time being. Timothy Flanagan sits on the very top of the scoring pylon of the number 19 McLaren, a 40.825, good enough for provisional right now, but only a few cars have managed a lap thus far. Of course, the weather slowing them down. The track completely saturated with light rain. Track is wet. Nothing really else to talk about. Wet tires absolutely required.
Ooh.
But this track is already difficult in the daylight, Ted. Now we've made the track wet and turned the lights out. It makes it even more so. This is one heck of a challenge.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't look well on track. It's very light rain, but with all these cars going around, there'll definitely be some sort of a dry line. So it's going to be difficult. But yeah, like I say, in the daylight, it's hard to see where you really need to put the car. Very technical track. You think of it as ACC's Daytona with its road course and oval layout, but yeah, it's very technical. I'd say a lot harder than Daytona because of the high curbs and uh, easy ways of just catching the grass there. You see that Timothy Lamgo's car just going over the curb there, hitting the grass. It's pretty bouncy. But yeah, you got the darkness, you got the rain, and obviously in the race you'll have a lot of spray to contend with. I don't think it would be too crazy, seeing it's not a fully wet track. But Lamgo goes faster with a 140.685, so half a second over Rodriguez in the 85 McLaren. Les Stevenson in third, first in silver, third overall, 6/10 off Lamgo is at 141.327. So Lex is doing some work here, Jesse, at this moment in time. Just have to see if Kerrigan can join him up there in the pro field.
He is. I expect that to be a little bit more for some of these cars. Of course, now just trying to get their feet wet, no pun intended, get some heat in the wet weather Pirelli tires and some grip work in there. And they're finding the puddles here in the dark, and they'll sort that out throughout the course of qualifying in the race if we do continue to have this weather pattern hold over us. But for right now, it's more of a fact-finding mission for a lot of these drivers right now, just seeing where they can run, what curbs they can hit, because unlike some other circuits, there are curbs that you can still bash here in the wet. You just got to figure out which ones you can and which ones you can't. Some will completely send you around. Others you can drive over as you normally would do. I would typically advise staying off of the heightened curb like that one, for instance. But obviously going off of the grass here, a very common thing to do. Wouldn't advise doing that. Rodriguez on a little bit of a lap here. He's coming through the final corner, rejoining the front straightaway here. We'll see if the Gomez Sim Racing 85 has a threat for pole as they come to the line, and they do. The Argentine driver drops a 40.107 and goes provisional pole.
Sure does. Flamgo did go faster that lap as well with a 140.510. Back in pit lane, coming straight back out on some fresh, wet tyres. So just have to see if they can go faster. There's Masatoshi Kaneko. They are up on their lap, trying to get out from the silver split, if you like. A bit of scenery going off there up on the styrofoam boards. We'll just have to wait and see what the lap times go. 7 minutes left to go. There is Kaneko, the number 740 Sandup Ferrari. 16th to 9th place with a 1 minute 41.840.
Looking pretty good here, nearing the halfway point in qualifying. Just about time to check in on the chat. Got a bunch of people who came in early. Good evening to you all. Mike Redford says that's nice to know that the 296 is just as poor here as it was elsewhere. Oh dear, looking like a rough one perhaps for some of the teams tonight. Katrina, hey, we know that person, saying hello in the chat. Joey says in for some good racing tonight. PT comes in, says good evening to you as well. Wherever you are, we hope that you're nice and comfy for a little night owl action here on a Saturday night. You know, Ted, this is an unusual night owl race, not because of the weather, not because of the racetrack, not because of the location. It is weird, however, because some of these drivers, I would argue probably a lot of these drivers, have already ran 4 hours in the World Tour today, and they've turned around 3 or 4 hours later, and now they're doing night owl round number 4. What does it take? You've done this in the past. What's it take as a driver to shift your mindset, do something completely different, likely a different car in a lot of cases as well? The track and the track conditions are different. You've opened up the World Tour. You put all of your mental prowess into that. Now you have to shift gears immediately, get back into a different car, different circumstances, What's that do to you, and how do you prepare for it?
It's horrible because yeah, like you say, if you have two different cars for two different series on the same day, you just gotta hope they're either both front engine or the engine's in the same place as your car. Else it does get a little bit annoying. Say if you go driving a Ferrari and then you drive in say this M4, it's different weight distributions, hopefully the tracks are the same, conditions are more or less the same, but you just got to hope that you've ran enough practice in both series. Probably one takes more over the other. Say the World Tour today will probably be most practiced for some of the drivers here than this track today. They might be looking at this as a drop round. So there is a drop round here in this series. So it's not too bad thinking about it. But once you've done 4 hours of racing and then you're like, oh, got another race tonight, right? Let me try and get some practice in. Then you got to do your qualifying, and then you got to do the race. And well, you'll probably be fine for the first 10 minutes of the race, first 15 minutes of the race, and then the next minute it will hit you, and you start getting tired, and you'll probably start making a few more mistakes, and we'll just have to see what people do tonight, and pick out the ones that probably been racing early on today. But I know Grim Lilith and Mike Redford have done the 4 hours today. I know Grim was in the Ferrari, but I'm not sure if Mike Redford was. But yeah,
Mike Redford was. I don't know if Callum Kerrigan was there. Grim Lilith, of course. I can only assume Malcolm was there. Of course, Olivier Kierton, a driver that was certainly there. Flamker, I can't imagine why the Alpha SimSport contingent wouldn't have been there, though. Now that I've remembered, I didn't see an Alpha SimSport car in the top split. Doesn't mean that they weren't there. It just means that I don't recall seeing them one way or another. I always thought the best way to deal with a short turnaround is get back in the car, finish what you're doing, take a little bit of a break, get back in the car. We saw Grim Lilith do that and immediately start working on the next race. Les Stevenson, of course, doing very well for themselves in that Lexus. They're in pole position for their class by a country mile, and they've gone and done better. They're 1 second off the overall pace by Rodriguez, but that'll be a little consequence to the silver driver as they've ran a 41.175. The next nearest car in class is 6 whole tenths off of their time. So that's what it's looking like there. The Argentine crowd has joined us, and they are cheering on Rodriguez out in front, and why not? They have a fellow Argentine leading this thing right now here in quali, and sometimes here at a racetrack like this in difficult conditions, Ted, that's all that matters. You get out in front, you stay away from trouble as Kierton goes to third with a 41.167. Sometimes you get out in front of these things, you survive lap one, and trust me, a lot of the times it is surviving lap one with a little bit of luck sprinkled in there, and then you're gone. You're not fighting anybody. You have the clean air. You have all the visibility in the world, and it's just plain sailing. Happy days.
Yeah, it sure is. You don't think it, but the spray from another car makes it a little bit more challenging to try and see where you go and see where the track is, especially in the dark. It can be a little bit more difficult. Of course, you don't want to make contact with the car in front, or make your own mistake and then end up hitting them by accident, taking both of you out. It's the last thing you want. Obviously, there'll be probably a penalty coming, or just you not finishing the race depending on how much damage you have. It is difficult, but it's one of the things with weather racing and nighttime racing put together. So just have to see how the drivers handle it. Obviously, Racecraft comes into it, and probably give a shout out to one of our partners, Driver 61. They do one-on-one coaching, and they can help you out a lot with your racecraft, with racing with others, and what you should and shouldn't do on the racetrack. They've helped thousands of people refine their racecraft and unlock their potential. I think a few of our staff members have done it and have got better. I think a few people in the community themselves have used it as well, and said that it has helped them a lot. They learned things that they wouldn't have known or seen before about racing. Obviously, you don't know everything, the ins and outs, when you watch real life racing. So you just think, oh, you just jump in a car and drive, but there's a few more bits and bobs to it as a racing driver, and obviously the sportsmanship is a key factor with, like, say, racecraft. So you can find them in the description below. Driver 61. Yeah, very nice partner.
Certainly is. Rodriguez currently has crossed the line, and they will sit on a 40.1. 3/10 behind them is Flamger, and then Kierton's a full second behind. All those cars are in the pit lane. They will do no damage to your provisional pole sitter. Everybody else coming to the line. Emiliano Gigi for Gomez Sim Racing in the 333, looking to climb the ladder, and they do. They get to the second row with a 40.885. They get within just over 3/4 of a second. More and more cars invalidating their lap, realizing that they're not going to be able to improve and ducking back down the pit lane. Plate comes across the line. No real improvement there out of the 71 BMW. All these flying laps, as long as they're valid laps, will count. That includes the 972, who just invalidated in turn 14 of all places. But car number 6 is Roman Frawler. They're still on a valid lap, and as far as we know, Sandro Simoes in the Carburate Racing 86 are also on valid laps right now. The 6 may be up, but marginally at best. I don't think they are. Nope, they've stopped, but the 86 is coming across the line. They're 11th, and they will stay there in 11th position. That will conclude qualifying today. Rodriguez has the quickest first and third sector, and the best lap overall, that 40.1 we talked about. Timothy Flamger in P2, also in a McLaren, has the quickest middle sector and is the closest to Rodriguez. Can he work some magic here on the start? We'll have to see. Gigi in third place with Kierton. Les Stevenson on pole in the silver class over his rivals Callum Kerrigan, Simoes, and Fox, the next nearest rivals. But, of course, Les Stevenson has about 4 pro cars in between him and the rest of his contingent. The rest of the starting order on your screen now.
Yeah, Simoes was up, but coming out of the final corner, they just dropped all of their time and went over the fastest lap. So very unfortunate for that. I think it was 2 or 3 tenths in there, Jesse. So we might see maybe the race pace might be a better one to gauge them on, but we just have to wait and see. The Lexus is taking first and second again, Jesse. Unfortunately, there's no GTR this time. Okay, Mr. Kevin Boss has signed out of this round. Didn't see him today at the World Tour, so he's obviously engaged in other matters. But yeah, it would have been nice to see the GTR and the Lexuses going again. But for now, we have the standings, Jesse. Would you like to take us with the pro category?
It would be my pleasure. Starting off with the pro standings, 3 rounds in the books, and keep in mind the potential of a drop round. Raphael Huell has 76 championship points. Julian Vanbrugh in second starting today with 71. 1 point behind him is Timothy Flamger in third. And then a little bit of a gap in a tie, a 3-way tie for fourth place. Grim Lilith, Mariano Rodriguez, Olivier Kierton, all tied at 46. In seventh place, the proud Scotsman Matt Malcolm with 42 championship points. Right behind him, Emiliano Gigi in 8th place with 41. Louis Zelch has championship signed out as far as I know, but has 37 championship points to their name. The Japanese driver, Masatoshi Kaneko, rounds out your top 10 at 32. Outside the top 10, the points don't get any further apart. Mike Redford has 28, Miguel Martins on 23, Emma Plate on 18, and a tie for 14th between Roman Frawler and the Welsh driver, Tom Roberts. Everyone else in the pro category has signed out of the championship.
Well, on to silver class, we've got Sandro Simoes on top with 90 points in that Mercedes 86, followed by Kerrigan and Les Stevenson in the Lexuses, 280 and the 46, second and third, 71 points and 66 points apiece. Kevin Boss in the GTR with 56 in fourth. Fifth is joint fifth is Chris Brook and Wolf Fox with 53 points each, and then tied for seventh place, Brent Jones and Ash Bibby, 34 points each as well. Then it goes Mike Jones in 9th, Paulo Martino in 10th with 27 points and 26. on to the next 10 cars is Carlos Miranda in 11th place with 23 points. Scott Lawson in 12th with 18. Jordan Bubbins with 14 points in 13th. Jer Rudolph with 12 points in 14th. Fernando Gomez is 10 points in 15th. And 16th place is Raul Ramos with 7 points. All the other drivers in silver have signed out.
Well, Ted, we're getting to this point in the championship where what you do now can be incredibly detrimental to the end of your campaign. There's hardware on the line down the road. It's not tonight, but tonight's one of those nights. It's a classic trap race where all you need to do is have a nice, smooth race, but that is probably going to be the hardest job of them all. You can't win the championship tonight, Ted, but I can guarantee you, you can lose it in a race like this.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tricky one for the drivers tonight, but there you go, 2 Gomez Racing cars on the first and third place. You can see there the 2 liveries. It's going to be interesting to try and point out Jesse as very identical.
It'll be hard, of course, because it's dark as well. Normally not a problem. It will be a problem tonight. So do bear with us for some of the dark colored cars, especially the teammate cars in some instances. It will be a bit difficult. Of course, they have their nationality flags on the wings, and I absolutely love that little touch of putting that on the wing. That's a classic thing to do. It's very classy on top of that. And, we've definitely... Well, what can you say about this car?
I don't know, Jesse. What is that, Jesse?
I think that's Les Stevenson's face, Ted Edwards, as you well know.
It sure is a sight to see when you're following that Lexus. I think many drivers will be. It's got some good speed, and there is 2 nice straights here at Indianapolis. So just have to wait and see what they do. Now, just going down the grid, there is the number 6 of Roman Fowler. And I got the 115 of Grim Lilith in his Crocs car, made by Harry Conway. Very creative guy. He's made quite a few liveries for I think Race Ventura. I think RCI he made some for back in the day, and he's makes some for Triple R as well. His team. No, it's Gandalf.
He is Gandalf there as well. Some lovely cars. The Carburate car there as well. And it's not only just custom liveries, but some of these paint jobs that these drivers and teams do with the in-game editor that comes in the game out of the box is quite impressive. And some of these liveries are amalgamation of both of those things. They have logos and sponsors over top of a base ACC coat of paint, which is even more ingenious. You can mix and match, of course. Mike Redford, who's joined us in chat, he's been very vocal tonight about how he has just not been in the groove here at this racetrack. He qualified last out of the pro cars. I will say this, the last time I saw Mike Redford qualify this far down the field, he actually did all right in the race. Let's hope for his case that is a possibility here tonight. Matthew Malcolm's been in chat also saying that hopefully they can get a decent finish, but they're also going to need a couple of good finishes at the end of the season as well. We kind of touched on that a little bit in the interim about how this race can be your undoing, but a decent finish tonight could set you up for opportunity down the road. I like where Malcolm's head is at. Mike Redford just pleading for no contact with teammates and friends in the race tonight. Some days that's all you can really aspire to. Ted, this race is going to be crazy. This start's going to be crazy. You know what's even more crazy about Night Owl? The random pit requirements.
Sure, and I'm guessing you would like me to say them, Jesse.
I'm on the edge of my seat, quite literally.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very interesting. As you can see, the orange little box on the left-hand side next to the car number, it says 2. That is 2 pit requirements for tonight's race. Followed with that is a tyre change on both stops with 1 litre of fuel required on both of that as well. with a 53-minute pit window. So it's going to be very interesting indeed. They seems as it's probably going to have a bit of a drier line once these cars get around a few laps here tonight. They're going to start wearing those wets out quite quickly. We might see them take different lines, probably trying to hit the wet patches to cool the tyres down. We're not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. But they've got 2 more sets of wets they can take, Jesse. So I don't think they're going to be too unhappy about that. They're probably quite pleased.
Wait, you limited the wet weather tire sets?
No, they can take
that?
No, I'm saying they can take 2 more because there's 2 pit stops.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good point. 2 pit stops here tonight, meaning that you could, in theory, do that. I don't think they will, though, Ted. I think they will change the tires once. I mean, wait, no, they have to. What am I saying? They have to change the tires. What am I saying?
It's been a long day for Jesse.
World Tour has screwed me up. I'm sitting here going, there's no pit road. They have to come down pit road, but they don't have to take tires. That's World Tour, folks. Forget World Tour. It's in the books. It's over. It was a brilliant race. This is Night Owl. There are 2 pit stops required, and you have to take tires. And as long as this weather holds, and we suspect it will throughout the evening here in Speedway, Indiana, you will want to put on the Pirelli wet weather tires. Should you see yellow banding on the sidewalls of some of the tires, you know that's a dry tire, and in this instance you know that they have selected the wrong tire, because that would be quite a hurtful thing to do. Ted, before we get going here tonight, Rodriguez very clearly out in front of the race in qualifying. Flamger was the closest among them. Do you think one of those 2 take home the win tonight, or does the winner come from further back with a more consistent race?
I think it'd be more a consistent race and not making mistakes. It's like we always say, wet weather is going to be interesting, and with the low amount of water on the track, it's going to really screw up these wet tyres. So just wait and see. I think. Not too sure who's going to take it. I was thinking Flamger might, but then Rodriguez got good quality, but it's not all about that qualifying. So I'm going to say Flamger is going to be my bet tonight. Take home the win, seeing as we ain't got Vanbrugh trying to beat everyone again. Who are you going to say, Jesse?
I'm thinking a little bit crazy here tonight. Les Stevenson wins the race overall out of the silver category. Also, a big thank you to Ash Bibby for gifting a sub to Ted Edwards, our very own broadcaster, fit manager, commentator. Ooh, woo, indeed. Ted Edwards, take it away.
Here we're going down into the first corner. A bit of a long straight here. The start-finish is quite further back. 4 wide in the background,
Ooh,
2 wide
touchy.
up front. Teammates almost said, Les gets into one of the Gomez cars in the background there. Flamger gets through into first place, Rodriguez into second. I think that's Oliver Curtin in third place. I think it was Gigi getting a bit of contact with Les Stevenson into turn 1, as we see Curtin trying to make a move, doesn't really get through. But there's some calamities in the background. You can see on the track map there, the 714 and the 108 car is a bit slow. And there's another car with the 714, but we'll probably get a replay later on, which is fine. But they're all filtering out.
Up in front of the race, taken away from Rodriguez. Olivier Curtin looked down the inside in the Kraken Engineering car, had a sniff through turns 5 and 6, but couldn't quite keep level with Rodriguez, who is scrambling a little bit. Didn't get a particularly good start. Flamger did, he nailed it, and he is out in front in this race. 2 McLarens leads a Ferrari and another McLaren. Gigi out in 4th place with plate inside the top 5. Les Stevenson did have contact with one of the cars. I think that might have been Gigi he had contact with, and what that's done is that's backed him up to Gore Fox, who has had an absolute lightning start, as Gore Fox has just about gained all the positions that they could do. They're still about 2 seconds behind Les. Les is in the second group. He got the 1-car breakaway. I'm using cycling terms now. You got the 1-car breakaway, and then you've got the secondary breakaway, and then the peloton behind them. Les Stevenson is at the back of the big second breakaway for the time being.
We did see the 85 in the background going off to drop down from second place. Here's Les Stevenson getting into contact with the 333. Only a little bit of a bump, nothing too mad, but in the background there's Ali going sideways.
The gap, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure does. That was. This
is the Mike Jones incident.
It sure is. A bit of a tap there. Nothing. Oh, and there goes around the McLaren of the 108. That's what happened to that car.
Yeah, Martinho just an unfortunate victim here. Mike Jones trying to fall back in line, and it's just so hard to judge in the rain where everybody's going to check up and stop. And unfortunately, Jones arrives to the scene of an accident of his own making there.
It was Sandro Simos, who was in third place, I think, in silver. A little bit of contact
that
there.
62 car going to get pushed sideways in the first couple of corners, but well held on all accounts.
Grim Lilith has a contact with the Lamborghini of one of the Gomez cars. And then what's that? Mike Redford gets into the back of them as well. Little car off there.
Car's going off of the racetrack. Is that
Roman
Masatoshi
Fowler.
Kaneko?
Oh, is it? Oh, it is Kaneko. Yeah, similar colours.
Of course, in the dark, like I said, bear with us. Some of the cars do look quite similar when the floodlights and the fog light lamps are on. It is somewhat difficult, especially from this angle, quite difficult to know what you're looking at. Shout out to Callum Kerrigan in the pink car, easily distinguishable, but a bunch of cars getting almost sent around. Miguel Martins nearly spun 2 or 3 times by my count and measure, but somehow able to keep it in a straight line inside the top 15 despite being bounced around, forced off the track a little bit. They continue on. Olivier Kierton has got around Rodriguez. Rodriguez has fallen all the way down to P5. The handling not to the liking of the Argentine driver, the 85 McLaren. Almost into the clutches of Les Stevenson. Mike Redford goes off the racetrack in avoidance. Rejoins. He's going to lose a couple of more positions. Emiliano Gigi up to P3, Plate to 4th. And now Rodriguez, your pole sitter, down to 5th. I just think Rodriguez is rattled here a little bit. Maybe he got the setup a little bit wrong in the race or something, but he's got so much speed. He is such a fast driver. I reckon all he needs to really do is settle down.
Yeah, well, second to last corner, we did see him. I think he went deep coming off the banking into that tight 90 degree right, and then he went straight at the second to last, dropped away the places, and that's why he's in 5th place. And Oliver Curtin, GG and Plate got through. Les didn't though. I think he might have had. I think it was from the contact before, so he was already further back. But yeah, just making a lap 1 mistake, end of lap 1 mistake, should I say? Just really screws your race up. But still in the tow of the other cars, so there's always some more moves to be made. Mike Redford and Matthew Malcolm though in these Ferraris, they were saying that they're not enjoying it, and yeah, you can just see, Jesse, they're just not enjoying this track. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something to do with the Ferrari. A car in the background has spun around.
It's the 11 car, Lawson.
Yeah, the 108 is in the pit lane. It was the 11. Very interesting.
If the Lawson Motorsport 11 had help, or perhaps they just lost it. We saw a couple of cars invalidate in turn 14. That's the turn that connects the front straight, obviously. And they're continuing on. I thought for a second, maybe Martinho and Lawson got into it entering pit lane. It is a very awkward pit lane, and if 2 cars are trying to come in at the same time, it'd be easy to aquaplane and cause an issue there, but that's not what happened. The 108 came into the pit lane on their own accord, and Lawson was having their own issues. Mariano Rodriguez has gained a spot back on MO Plate. Plate now under fire from Les Stevenson, trying to add a little bit of a gap back to Gore Fox. Unable to get it done there. Les backs out for the time being. Plate gets to keep 5th. He's going to run wide here. Here comes Stevenson up the inside. Remember, points are only paid out in class, so this overall position is just bragging rights, or more likely for Les. This is an insurance play to keep Gore Fox from catching up.
Sure is, and yeah, that Lexus has got legs. Been driving insane the World Tour, and
Lexus.
Yes, Lexus. It does take. No, it took away from the beam. It wasn't even in the tow. The BMW went to the right to try and defend from Les, and Les just blast on by. Miguel Martins is in pit lane in the pro class. The 11 has spun round, coming off the banking as well, and still is yellow flag. They're having difficulty in the BMW. I wonder what's up with that car, but yeah, Lexus is pretty fun to drive, Jesse. It,
Certainly is. We're
and
gonna
it's
see what
pretty
happened to
quick.
Scott Lawson.
Ooh.
Yeah, just sideways there. The handling not to their liking. That could be too low wing. They could already have some sort of tire overheating, tire damage, something of the sort. Not proper pressures. Could be a lot of different things on that car. It's not making mechanical grip. That much I can tell you. TC could be slightly too low and trying to rev the car too high. Either way, Scott Lawson's going to bring the number 11 BMW to the attention of his team. That's going to be an early pit stop, but not as damning as it would be normally because of the aforementioned 2 pit stops. And in a way, it's almost like free real estate because you get to come in and, yeah, you lost the time with a couple of spins, but you haven't really damaged the car a whole lot, if any. You get to get off those tires. You get to satisfy one of your pit requirements. So, in a way, a win-win. You kind of get away with it, and all you've done is lose that little bit of time.
Yeah, sure thing. And I just checked to see the car looked out our little window here, and they are on the wet tires. So, like you say, it must be a low wing setup or just not gelling with the car. It's not an easy track. It is quite difficult.
It's deceptively hard, isn't it?
It is. It looks easy. It's just like, it's just another roval, but it's not that easy. Oh, Gigi letting Rodriguez through. Sounds like a team order there, Jesse.
He's going to go a little bit wide here, but he's not going to get challenged by his teammate here. And you know, there's nothing wrong with teammates working with each other instead of against each other. It's the most frustrating thing in the world to have a teammate who has the same goal in mind as you, but then you have to constantly work against them. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a time where it goes the other way for Emiliano Gigi, and you remember stuff like that. But Rodriguez, of course, fastest car in qualifying. There was no way that Rodriguez was going to spend their day in 5th place. It just was never going to happen. They just needed a few laps, get the car under them, get their head straight, get dialed in, and they're going to be marching back to the front. It is unfortunately an 8-second gap between him and Flamger, the leader right now. But the good news is he is going forward. The next car, P2, Olivier Kierton, 2 seconds up the road.
Sure is, and yeah, the pit window is open, been open for a while. We've still got 46.5 minutes on the timer, 50 minutes left of the race to go. Some cars have done their pit stops. You can do both pit stops back to back if you would like, but I think a lot of drivers who know what to do with pit strategies would do them in third. So would take third tank of fuel for the start, middle and end. It just works out better, and you probably have a faster car because it's more lighter and better tyres each time. So that's what I'm thinking. But some of them pitted early, maybe damage, maybe just not enjoying the car. But just have a wait and see. Obviously, only one silver, one pro have pitted. I think we have had a retirement from one car. I think that was the 108. I think they just had a spin and they've pulled the garage door down, Jesse.
It was indeed. Paolo Martinho in the 108 car has closed the garage door. They spun on the sort of midway point of turn 4, just too much rotation. Single car incident, as far as I can tell. And that is our first retirement. Started with 21 cars down to 20 here tonight. The field not at full song. Many sign outs, not championship sign outs, but race sign outs here tonight. And we kind of expected that with the World Tour. A lot of drivers pressing on, of course, but some electing to use a drop round. Is there a drop round on offer here?
Please hold.
We'll look that up.
There is a drop round.
There is a drop round indeed. So a lot of drivers electing to, well, not a lot of drivers, some drivers electing to use their drop round here tonight. Difficult conditions already after what must have been a mentally taxing day, the first round of the RCI World Tour and all of that. We expect probably closer to 25 or some cars in 1 week's time when we go back to Old Blighty at Alton Park. And My goodness, you took absolutely no pity on this field when you scheduled Indianapolis and Alton Park in the same series. You know what? It's a bit like your dad telling you if you don't eat your mushy peas, you're not getting any ice cream, because the final race, the finale, Red Bull Ring, that is absolutely the ice cream in this season.
Yeah, sure is. It's going to be very interesting, but unfortunately, I'm not here for the night hour race. I'm busy. I'm be doing something else with my time. But you'll have something else
You
on
mean to tell me you're not going to make Alton Park?
I know, very unfortunate.
That's so shocking and upsetting to me.
I made Donington Park, so.
Wow,
yeah.
You made one of the best racetracks in the world. That's crazy, bro.
Hey, yeah, I think you sure did. I just realised what I just said. Yeah, you are a funny man, Jesse. But yeah, unfortunately not. But yeah, that's in 2 weeks' time, because the Sebring official 12-hour is next weekend in iRacing. So we've done a little bit of a move around with the night hour races, just so people don't have to try and stress of doing 2 races at once, because that is not fun. But yeah, 2 weeks' time we'll be here at Alton Park, and then the week after will be the final. It's come quite quickly, Jesse. Round 4 already. We'll soon be on to season 18.
Season 18. Well, Ted Edwards just confirmed the existence of Night Owl Season 18. So since he's confirmed that, I will confirm that we'll be back for Night Owl Season 18 here on the broadcast. As soon as Ted thinks it up and figures out what he wants to do for that season, regarding, if he hasn't already done that, we'll be back here with you. Mariano Rodriguez has caught Olivier Kierton for P2. It was 2 seconds the gap a few laps ago. Now that gap is not. Timothy Flanger is driven up the road by another 1.2 seconds, though, as this continues to lengthen. I suspect it might go the other way once Rodriguez gets through. Kierton goes a little bit wide. He's going to chop him off here at the infield section at turn number 6 as they go back onto the back straight and down into turn 7, the long drag strip here, where typically you could get a run down in the next corner. In the rain, a little bit more treacherous. It won't keep some of the drivers from testing it, though, but still well held. Defensive driving from Kierton here. He's not giving this up, and nor should he.
Doing very well driving both drivers here, and yeah, just thinking, Jesse, about this wet weather. I think that's a place where people can go to get some wet setups for their cars that would probably help them here a lot. Do you know where that is?
I sure do. Hey, if you're looking to improve your game by getting up to speed now, I suggest you use a Go setup. They've got dry, wet weather setups for all the tracks, even the new GT2 cars. You can get up the pace today with a Go setup, GoSetup.com.
Yeah, they've just updated all the Lexus setups as well for the track, so that was very nice of them, seeing as
came at the right time, didn't it? If you're
sure
competing in RCI.
It sure did, yeah. A lot of people are taking the Lexus recently, which is nice to see, and obviously the GTR as well. But just see Grim Lilith come down pit lane, and Garage Door has come down on that car.
That's interesting. I wonder if something was amiss there. I didn't see them have any issue prior to that.
I'm going to guess speeding in pit lane, and probably not because of... Maybe even if it was just a drive-through, that's like just the tiniest bit of speed would get you a drive-through. Excessive would get you a stop and go third. But if it's a drive-through, that's 3 pits you got to do, and he hasn't completed 1 yet, so... I don't blame him. It is a race ruiner, but just have to wait for Alton Park to see him come back again. But yeah, we've lost a few drivers tonight due to a few different things. But yeah, very unfortunate there from Grim Lilith, the 115. Race with Triple R car.
Checking out Sandro Samos for the Carburate Racing 86, trying to get by Roman Frawler. Already in third, but trying to get closer to Gore Fox here. Yeah,
sure is. It needs to get past Roman Fowler. now I can see why I got confused with Frada's car and Kaniko's car. Both white. Where from the top-down view, they just look like the same car. But yeah, Simo's just get past that Ferrari and trying to charge up to Fox now. As you can see, the Aston Martin on your screen at the bottom now. They're not that far behind. 3 seconds is the gap. And once they caught up with Fox, they try and fight for second place. And then it'll be on to Les Stevenson if they get past. Matthew Malcolm is coming down pit lane in the 199 Ferrari.
Yeah, I think he's going to run this in segments of 20, Ted. He's going to come in now. He's going to change the tires. He'll come in again with about 20 minutes left to go. Put on a new set of boots and go to the end. I think that'll be a quite popular strategy. If I do say so myself, the 199 of Malcolm came in 1 lap early. They're trying to jump the field just a little bit. The undercut, typically favored. It usually works better than trying the overcut. So doesn't want to be the trend, wants to be the trend setter, does Matthew Malcolm. He certainly was. Nobody else came down that time. They've elected to take an additional circuit, take about 2 minutes off of the clock, and come down exactly on that time. There will be some drivers who don't do that. We've seen this several times before, and it's often strange. You'll typically see at least one driver try the most insane strategy of coming in twice immediately at the race, basically putting themselves a lap down. That didn't happen today. Or we saw this at Misano the last time we had the 2 pit stop requirement. We saw a driver not come in until the last couple laps, pit 2 times in a row at the end of the race. And, well, that kind of didn't work for them either. But some of the drivers coming in now. Rodriguez is in, pitting out of second place, wants to get out from behind Kirtan. Gigi also follows Rodriguez down to the pit lane. Everybody else stay down.
Yeah, they sure did. Now, just want to see what Flander does with his pit stops. Obviously leading this race by 9 seconds now. Got a nice steady gap going on there. But I wonder if they're going to pit this lap, since it's 40 minutes, it's 20 minutes in. Like you say, it's 20 minutes and then 20 minutes again. I have to see what Curtin does, and obviously Les Stevenson.
I would probably do it the next lap or two. I don't want to catch the stop traffic. I don't want to have to pass anybody here tonight. The only problem with that is if the Alpha Sim Sport driver does pit this time through, that's probably going to put them somewhere around 4th or 5th place. There'll be other cars that come in with them as a reactory maneuver. There will be some that continue on because their strategy is not the same, come in at the 20-minute mark. But if I'm Flamger, I don't want to have to pass those cars. I would rather race cars of my own pace and not have to bother them at all. And that's exactly what Flamger's doing. This has absolutely been the plan since the drop of the green flag. Everything's gone their way. They've got the lead. They've had a clean first stint. They're going to come in, strap on some new Pirelli wet weather tires, go back out there and do it all again in 20 minutes. And more than anything right here, they're going to hope, against hope, that they come out in some semblance of clean air here and they're not racing somebody in and around the top 5.
Yeah, Oliver Curtin comes down pit lane as well. Les Stevenson, Jesse Lee leads the race in that Lexus. Doing some fun work there. Got to do a Mike Redford. Got to do a bit of Mike Redford and take the lead of the race for a lap or two.
Well, I have to do it. It's mandatory. If we could look at... Yeah, you know what I was going to do, Ash. Ash Bibby behind the cameras, by the way, knows exactly what I was going to say. Les Stevenson leading the race overall. There he is, the dropping the hammer, 46 Lexus. And there you have it. He does it almost every week. And there he is, folks. Don't even bother. He's married.
Very unfortunate, but yeah, he's driving that car very well actually. What I found with the Lexus today is it's not a bad car. It's in the BOP we have. Obviously, we don't have a BOP. It is from the game itself, the Kudos BOP, as some drivers call it. It on some tracks it's not great. On others, like here, it seems like it's doing very well. For both Stevenson and Kerrigan, they're doing pretty well in the silver class, but to take it to an esports level, it's very difficult unless you have a bop. Like obviously in the World Tour, we're using the LFM bop, and the car doesn't have any plus or negative ballast added compared to the other cars. Obviously, they feel like it is in a perfect place, and it can fight quite a lot of cars in the World Tour, which is quite nice. But obviously here, it's still doing okay in the normal BOP. But it's quite nice to see the Lexus out on track. It's a shame we don't see Jaguars anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately about the Jag, but I will say it's becoming more commonplace. We've seen more Bentleys, more GTRs, more Lexuses, CCs, and it's great to have those. We do have the occasional incredibly brave Jag. MO Plate, Dwarf Fox, Roman Frawler, Callum Kerrigan on the pit lane. Rodriguez is double pitting, and so is Lawson. Now that's interesting. Lawson's several laps down, of course, but Rodriguez isn't. That's a double pit. I didn't see that move coming from the 85.
No, you sure didn't. Gomez is off. The 60 in Sector 1 is way off track.
Way off.
Not sure if that is a connection problem. They're back in pit lane, so no, it wasn't. Not sure if there was any contact with anyone. Here is a 25-second replay. They are just parked. Not sure. No, I'm guessing a hardware issue, Jesse.
Could be some issue outside of the cockpit as well. That's led them to pull off and park it, and now that they've had to return, could very well be some sort of hardware issue as well. That car, nothing was moving. There wasn't no telltale signs of life. Obviously the car's on, but it kind of, it kind of does that by itself. So no real telltale signs of anything like that, except that they have returned to pit lane. They haven't retired the number 60 Lamborghini yet, though. They might be trying to source out the problem. Les Stevenson pits out of the lead of the race, dropping the Hammer 46 into the pit lane. That will give the lead to Samos in the number 86 AMG, who has yet to do any of their stops. A couple of drivers still yet to do their first of two mandatory tire changes tonight. Samos, Kaneko, Redford, Kirtan, and Ramos, the drivers who have yet to do at least one of their stops. Of course, Gomez in the pit lane now, but that was a tow to pit lane. So interesting strategy by Rodriguez, your pole sitter here tonight. They lost the lead immediately. They went down to fifth, drove all the way back up to battle second, came in, did a stop, did another stop. The 71 off the track currently, MO Plate. That'll not do well for a car that was inside the top five prior to the incident here, and of course the sequence of pit stops.
Yeah, very confusing tonight, Jesse, with the strategies. Normally they all follow a similar pit lap strategy. When we have a pit stop with like a fixed time or whatever, everyone normally piles in about halfway through. And sometimes when we do the two stoppers, they'll pit 20 minutes in, and then 20 minutes left to go, they'll do the next stop. But tonight, so it's very different. There's still people with two pits to go, some with one pit to go, which is the normal strategy, if you like. And then two people on no stops. They've completed them. So yeah, very odd. It's one of those races where we can't really judge where people are going to be until everyone's completed the pit stops. But with some people still on two, we're going to be waiting a while.
I do wonder if a couple of cars are going to try that strategy I mentioned, where you do your two pit stops back-to-back right at the end of the race. And that's not often a winning strategy, but it could be an alternate strategy to sort of rattle some of your opponents. And Redford is in this time through. There's sort of an alternate strategy to that as well, where you come in at halfway, put on tires, benefit from having fresher tires for the second half of the race, and then you just do your final pit stop a lap or two from the end. And that's more on schedule, I would say, than doing the end double. And I suspect we'll see several do that. In fact, Redford is doing that. Callum Kerrigan has done an interesting strategy. They came in 10 or so minutes apart. They have also completed their mandatory stops here tonight. And those are your first couple of drivers to have done so. Most everybody else has at least done one. Samos continues to lead overall in the race, Kaneko, Kirtan still have 2 pit stops left to do. So does Ramos. You can keep track the amber number beside the driver number. That is how many mandatory stops they have left. If it's green instead of a number, that means that they have fulfilled all the pit requirements for the race. Here comes Sandro Somos into the pit lane.
Well, yeah, you're on about with the pitting at the end with the second lot of pit stops and tyres. You just have to pump them up because obviously they're going to be quite cold and low pressured, but you just pump them right up for the last few minutes of the race. I think there'll be about 7 or 8 minutes left to go once the pit window closes, so you just have to raise the pressures. That will last you that long, and hopefully they don't over pressure too much. And yeah, you'll have all the group straight out of pit lane. So that is a strategy I wouldn't choose to do myself, but we'll have to wait and see. I think, like you say, Redford probably be going for that strategy, throwing us off a little bit.
Masatoshi Kaneko matriculates to the front of the group. Olivier Kirtan comes down pit lane themselves to serve one of their mandatory stops. That leaves just Kaneko and Ramos as the top cars on the lead lap anyway that have not done at least one of their stops nearing the halfway point. I can imagine the majority will come in this time or next time near the halfway point and just do a final little stop at the end of the race to try and minimize the damage. But for right now, I would say the winning strategy is pit every 20 minutes. But hey, that's why I'm up here in the booth with you, partner, and not down there on the pit box calling some of these races.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to do, but just watching that Lexus of Les Stevenson just blast past BMW. I know they are back marker, that is Lawson the number 11, but it's just crazy to see how much speed that has. We've got a really long straight here, the start-finish line, as Kaneko just come down pit lane. Yeah, it's just got the top end. Like it baffles me every time. We don't really see many cars like this that have a straight line speed over another car. It's more in the corners. Like the 720S is pretty good in the corner. Same with the Ferrari. So they're sort of matched, but it is nice to see. There's Mike Jones, 28 seconds behind the 78 Mercedes in 14th place. Had a few incidents at the start of the race that's set him back. He's got one more pit stop to do, but he's not last. He's still going, and Gomez is still in the pit lane, so hopefully everything is okay with that driver. I hope nothing's serious.
Yeah, that tells me that they've had a serious mechanical issue, or they've been pulled out of the sim rig for one reason or another. Masatoshi Kaneko has surrendered the lead at the halfway point, as pretty much expected. Ramos, I don't know if the 14 has got to the line yet or not. In fact, they must have.
First corner.
I was going to say, I can't find them. They must be covered up. There they are. Raul Ramos, the revved up motorsport number 14. They have continued along here. They did not pit at the halfway point. They're the only car on the lead lap who has elected a completely different strategy. Everybody else has been in the last 15 minutes or so. We would consider that on schedule or a pretty standard strategy to boot. Timothy Flamger goes back to the point with Gigi in second, Les Stevenson up to third, Miguel Martins is in fourth, and Raul Ramos has jumped up into second place in that silver category. Somos in third currently. They have this driver, Roman Frawler, the EM Racing number 6 in between them. But for how long? Frawler working on Ramos, has a good look there, decides better of it, but no, he's going up in there in turn number 7. He's going to get it done. Was Ramos accommodating, or was Frawler not taking no for an answer? I'll let you at home be the judge of that. But one way or another, the pass has been done.
Matthew Malcolm has completed all their pit stops. He said he joins us in chat saying risky strap, but I've got nothing to lose. Fair enough. Got to try something when you've got nothing in the bag, but hopefully it will works
Well,
out.
it's not going to hurt. It
Yeah, it's
shouldn't
not.
hurt. I like it, Malcolm, but I'll tell you, it's not going to hurt you doing this. It would have hurt you had you stacked your pit stops on top of each other or had a major problem prior to this, but you haven't. It's not a bad strat. I don't mind this at all. And if other people get into trouble and you get out in space because of this, you might be sitting pretty here at the end of this thing, picking up some spots, and of course pace bringing you back into some of the fights perhaps that you have separated yourself, or leapfrogging some people whenever you come in. I always favor coming in early. Malcolm's done that. He was one of the first, if not the first, on pit lane at the start of the sequence, and now he's the first to come back in for his second stop, or one of the first, of course. Rodriguez has also done that with Kerrigan and so. But I like that. I like that coming in early. I think that typically pays off. Is it risky? Absolutely. But, you know,
Ooh.
so is anything else you do.
Just seeing the 740 is having a bit of trouble. That's Masatoshi Kaneko. They spun around and got stuck for a little while. I don't know if they went off the track and got caught on some AstroTurf or some grass and couldn't get the car going. It's self-inflicted from what we know. So I think they've lost a few places, unfortunately. But not sure what happened there. Hopefully everything's okay. But talk about some hardware, Jesse. You heard about Fanatec? I've heard they've got some goodies for people to buy.
Of course they do. The leader in direct drive sim racing hardware, Fanatec, is a household name in the sim racing family, of course, for all the bundles and things that they offer, including direct drive wheelbases and exquisitely crafted racing rims. Fanatec.com.
Yeah, and give a shout out to them. Got to give a shout out to Digital Motorsport, where you can find the Fanatec products on their website as well. But they do all the top brands, and there's your one-stop shop for everything sim racing. They have sim rigs, sim wheels, sim bases. So check them out. They've got a sim rig builder. You can have a look, see what the sim rig looks like before you buy all the bits and pieces. So you're not disappointed if it doesn't fit or it doesn't look like what you wanted. But yeah, you can have a little play around with that. It's like a little mini game, a little bit of fun. But yeah, I got Fanatec products. I think a few other drivers here in tonight's race have them, and they are built to last. They are pretty solid, and I wouldn't go back to anything else. Oh, Mike Redford goes off the track a little bit, loses 2 positions, well 1 position to, well, 1 to Fox. Not sure that's 14 of Ramos, but yeah, digitalmotorsport.com. Yeah, you find them in the description below.
Lovely indeed. We've seen a lot of good racing thus far, a lot of self-inflicted spins, but some good racing to boot as well. The strategy is well alive in play. Raul Ramos, the car that has 2 pit stops left to give, and this will frustrate Guar Fox. This will frustrate Mike Redford, who is already a little bit upset after driving off of the racetrack there in these conditions, and this could be very dangerous here. Into the back of Ramos was Mike Redford. Guar Fox is going to get through here and take the couple of possessions, and so is Redford, who will squeak their way back through. That was squeaky bum time, but they've been able to get it done, and now Raul has decided this is the correct time to bail, and this might have been the strategy all along. Come in the final couple of moments of the race as well. This is still sort of within that window to do that, of a strategy that you could turn. Unfortunately, though, Ramos is going to end up at just about the tail end of the cars that have done one of their pit stops. Flandre leads over Gigi and Stevenson of the cars that have pitted once. The big question mark is, where does Rodriguez, Miranda, and Kerrigan come out in this? You can throw Matthew Malcolm in that puzzle as well. Some of those cars were top 5. Where will they be after this? In fact, Rodriguez has already started lapping some of the cars that have a pit stop left to give, and Miguel Martins is in the pit lane making their final stop now.
Oh, interesting indeed, Jesse. Just have to see what the top cars do. They're all still on 1 to go. First to 10th. There's Mike Jones as well in 14th. Still got 1 more pit stop to do. So 19 minutes and 40 seconds left. 23 minutes of the race to go. going to get interesting towards the end, Jesse, because obviously, don't forget, Rodriguez is the person who did their 2 pit stops before the other top drivers that were near. So just have to see. I think they might come out in 4th place if they've had a good run in their stints. They might be able to pull off a 4th and maybe even a 2nd place, because they were in front of Gigi, I believe, at one point. I think Gigi got the team order to let them through. As we know, the 85 did make a mistake early on in the race. Going into the second to last corner, they went across the grass and lost 3 or 4 positions, and then got behind their teammate Emiliano Gigi, sorry. And they moved aside, and Rodriguez went past. So just have to wait and see. This is what happens when you have different strategies. Is you don't know where the 85 is going to come out. Obviously, you see them down there in 11th place thinking, oh, they got the fastest lap, but they're in 11th. But actually, they're not. Technically, they are. But obviously, later on in the race, 20 minutes down the line, they'll be in a different position. As we see Malcolm trying to make a move on Kerrigan. Up the inside onto the straight. Lexus is gone.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, as Kieran drives up the road a little bit. And not the only Lexus, of course, their teammate up in 3rd currently. In a different class, albeit, but this is the way it's shaken out. Rodriguez has all their stops done. They've passed Mike Jones. They've passed Ramos, who have a pit stop left to go. This is the most dangerous part of the race for Ramos, though. It's 20-some seconds, the gap that they have. Up to the next car, I believe it was. It doesn't look like... Oh, that's because it's a lap car. In fact, the 95 that's in front of them? That seems strange. How did Mike Redford get back here? But I digress. Ooh. He's got quite a bit of a gap. I assume Mike Redford's had an incident at some point, because Redford appears to be in front. No, that's Carlos Miranda that we're looking at, so never mind. Carlos Miranda has just been lapped by Redford, is what's occurred here somewhat recently. I was confused. I was confusing Miranda with Rodriguez there. I was thinking about Rodriguez having to catch Kiriton, Kaneko, Redford, etc., and losing time doing that. That's where this strategy goes wrong if you're the fastest car on the racetrack, Rodriguez. And trust me, folks, he is the Speed Juice fastest lap of the race winner currently, and I don't think anyone's really going to beat him. He was several tenths quicker in qualifying. He's shown that he's quicker in the race, though he had not a particularly good start to the race. He almost made up for that. But this is where it could go wrong if you're Rodriguez. If you're catching these cars, having to battle them before they come into pit lane, that could slow you down, and that could be the difference between Flamger winning this race and it being Rodriguez. The best case scenario for Rodriguez in the 85 is, of course, by the time that he catches these cars, they're thinking about pitting anyway and get out of his way. That's a free ticket right there.
Sure is. Well, just looking at the fastest lap between Flamger and Rodriguez. Flamger's behind Rodriguez here, so that's going to be interesting with Flamger's pit stop. Obviously, the pit lane is very, very long. The entire of the front straight is how long the pit lane is. Ooh, Timo's going a bit wide there. Looks like everyone's lights are off. I think that's on our broadcaster side is a little bit bugged there, Jesse. That is very interesting indeed.
They're definitely not driving in the dark, just a little bit of a server sync issue. Pay no mind to that. As soon as they hit pit lane, it will fix it. They can also help us out. If any of the people racing hear us, flash your lights. They will turn back on for us. It is a weird desync thing that happens in ACC sometimes, and it gets fixed by either coming down pit road or flashing the lights. You can see the day running lights are still on all the cars. For everybody else involved, everything's completely copacetic. There's no issue. Nobody will get a penalty for this. This is 100% on us, and it's quite humorous and strange, to say the least. But Alejandro in chat has made mention that it's a different strategy, but a nice strategy for everybody. I agree. I think that variety is the spice of life, and I enjoy that there's so many drivers here at Night Owl who come out here and intentionally do a contrarian strategy. They do something different. They know that they're potentially not going to win with everybody else's strategy. They're going to have to do it themselves and try and do something different. You're not going to win following everybody else. You're only going to win this race. You're only going to advance by doing your own thing, making the right moves at the right time. And here's the greatest part about racing, folks. You don't know what the right move is until a winner is declared, because until somebody wins, nobody's right yet.
That's true. I was just looking at the lap times, best laps. So obviously we know Rodriguez is got the Speedy's fastest lap with a 140.5. Flamger did a 140.6, and obviously they still got to take the next set of tyres, so they might be able to go faster on lower fuel. Might be able to take those. I think it's 2 points is how much it is, so they might be able to take those points away from the 85. But I did notice as well, Les Stevenson, not this lap, the lap before, did do his fastest lap before, 141.0, so he was quicker than Flamger for a lap.
Well, there you have it. More cars coming down pit lane a little bit later than I thought as well. I thought the majority, the bulk of the field would come in with around 20 minutes to go. We're encroaching on 15 minutes to go here. And Masatoshi is the only car rolling down pit lane, with the exception, of course, of Mike Jones. And that's particularly odd, because I wonder if maybe they came in somewhat early. Now, the cars that came in with about 30 minutes to go or even later than that, I'm not worried about that. And there it is. Timothy Flamger, leader of the race for Alpha Simsport, has brought the number 19 car to the attention of the team, or at least he will after he trundles down pit lane at a very measly 50 kilometers an hour. But this is more what I expected. Sometime right around now, I think maybe that'll trigger a lot of the drivers to come in. It has for Les Stevenson for dropping the hammer. That Lexus, that class-leading Lexus, will come down the pit lane. Emiliano Gigi for Gomez Sim Racing has done the exact same, and might have been a few minutes later than I anticipated, but they're still kind of sticking to that strategy. Nobody here in this group that came in with 40 minutes to go has really bailed from that strategy. I mean, nor should they. They could put themselves in a disadvantageous position if they did that. So this is, it's the plan. You've made your bed. Now you've got to lie in it and hope that you got it right. And more importantly than anything, Ted, don't speed on pit road now.
Yeah, that'd be a very bad thing to do with only 15 minutes left of the race. I'm just looking at the 85, coming around the second to last banking. I have to see where they come. The 19 of Flamger is leaving pit lane. Takes a while to get down there. I don't think the 85 is gonna get anywhere really near. As Flamger has been released from pit lane, going into T1 now. We'll be behind the 111. And there goes the 85 onto the last corner, onto the straight now, and Flamger is gone. So very interesting indeed with Rodriguez's pit strategy. Obviously you have to wait till those 4 cars that haven't pitted do their pit stop to see where they do end up officially, but yeah, it looks like Flamger's just got a better strategy, taking tyres later, running longer, running later, compared to Rodriguez's run them short and then run them long. It's very odd strategies for both the drivers, but one worked out and the other one looks like it hasn't.
I just think that Flamger had the better sort of timing. I wouldn't say the better strategy. I mean, though I guess you could argue that Roman Frawler leads the lap and comes in to serve his second and final pit stop of the night. What I think happened there was Flamger got a better position. They didn't come out in traffic. Rodriguez did have to pass several more cars, and the cars that Flamger was passing were blue flagged and more inclined to just sort of go by the wayside. I think Flamger lucked out there. I think he nailed the strategy as well. I just think Rodriguez put himself into a little bit of a hole, and now it's quite deep. It was 21 seconds the gap back to him. Flamger out in front, and you've seen it, I've seen it. Tell us what has happened to Matthew Malcolm.
That would be a drive-through for track limits, Jesse. Now, I can't remember. I haven't driven this track in a long time. Not one of my favourite tracks, I've got to admit. Not my least favourite track. Ah, there you go. Looks like Malcolm is going to retire that car, unfortunately. due to that drive through. But yeah, I think there's quite a few places where you can get track limits quite easy. I think through here is an easy one. You want to try and cut as much as the curb you can, but you'll get all 4 tyres over the white line, and you'll just rack up those track limits. And it's not easy when they feel harsh, but actually they're not. It's just a track with really wide curbs, and you think, oh, I can use all that. That's just a bit of extra track, and next minute you end up with the drive-through, and especially in a race like this with 2 pit stops, you've completed them, and then you got to come in again, and it'll put you last in the pro class, and you're not really fighting anyone, so you lose a bit of focus, and you start losing the thought of driving. So Malcolm's just sort of come into the chat and said, I just can't. 2 of them still had wheels on the track, and yeah, it is what it is. Racing on a track like this where track limits do get you, it's like Spa can be quite unforgiving for where your tyres are placed, but yeah, these things happen in a race.
They certainly can do, and when it's not your night, it's not your night. ACC is unique in the way that it's constructed because the track limits change depending on the weather. So if it's raining, track limits are typically a little bit more forgiving in a lot of tracks, but Indianapolis, since its inception in ACC, has always been a bit of a tough one. There are certain corners where you can sort of still be on the racetrack but get a track limit warning because you're kind of cutting off the corner or extending a corner in the case of turn 14, and you can still get a warning there. I've seen cars go as far as hitting the wall exiting turn 14, that's coming off the banking onto the pit straight, and you hit the wall and you get a track limit warning on top of that because you understeered past the solid white triangle area for the rejoining of the main oval circuit, and that's as brutal as it gets. Not only do you get penalized by getting damage, you get penalized because ACC says that you left the track and gained an advantage as well. Just an absolutely frustrating evening. I think there's several other drivers that could possibly commiserate that as well. Roman Frawler was down pit lane. So was Kierton a lap or so ago. Everybody, with the exception of Ramos, has completed or will complete their mandatory stops. Gomez has to do 2, of course, in the final 10 minutes. The credit to Gomez not giving up, continuing on. They may be many laps down. Actually, no, they're still sitting in pit lane, I've just realized. That was the car that retired to the pit lane but hasn't officially retired. That is Fernando Gomez. I was thinking that was the initial car that came in quite early, but nope, that's not the case. That car's been sitting there for quite some time. So, of the cars that are running, as I was saying, take 2. Ramos is the only one with a pit stop left to give. This is the actual running order. Flamger over Rodriguez by some margin, 22+ seconds. Emiliano Gigi in 3rd place. Miguel Martins is all the way up in 4th place. The Audi has come good here late in this race. That's something that I used to know in the 1.9 update. The Audi was, for whatever reason, quite decent here. Chewed up its tires in the dry, but in the mildly moist was pretty all right. Les Stevenson has led the majority of the way, if not all the way, in the silver class, up inside the top 5 overall as well for an extra feather in their cap. Frawler, Immo Plater we're with here for the WRT liveried BMW, and then the 2nd place car in silver, Samos and Dwarf Fox, the top 3 in that category as well. Some of the positions have flip-flopped, some of the battles have gotten a little bit closer, but just about everybody now on a little bit of their own island. I think Plate's just about as close to anybody as anyone else right here. That's Roman Frawler in front of them, and that is for position.
There is. Plate is the closest car to the next car on in this race at this moment in time. So it is pretty spread out. Obviously, that's due to different pit strategies that have happened tonight. 5 minutes left of pit window. Obviously, Ramos needs to come in before that closes. They need to enter pit lane before it closes. I think once they're in and then it closes, they're fine, even if they haven't gone into the pit box, but they have to be past that 50 km/h pit board before it hits 0, so we have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, chasing down Ferrari on M4, or should I say M4 on the Ferrari. We just have to let's see what happens here. Obviously, this is a fight for 5th place in Pro, 6th overall. Yeah, let's see what's in that. Lex doing good. It's very very odd to see the Lexus there. I would have thought the Mercedes would have been up there, or even the Aston Martin tonight. But yeah, Les with probably the better strategy. Who knows? He's got a massive margin of at least 20 seconds, I think, to the 86 of Simoes. But here's Mike Redford doing a bit of weaving. Not sure what that's all about, Jesse. Maybe low pressures, or is I'm not too sure.
Well, he might be showing off for the fans out there a little bit. You never know. Mike Redford started dead last. They've moved up a couple of positions. They've actually gained a few more than that because some of the cars that have retired were pro cars, so he's gained even more. He's in the top 10 overall, but perhaps more importantly for him, he's in 7th in class, which is a far cry from where Mike would want to be, but rather besides, it's still a lot better than where he started. Silver linings and all that. Swings and roundabouts, as the British say. Emiliano Gigi in 3rd place has caught Rodriguez. I didn't see this twist coming here in the final 6.5 minutes, but here it is. Gigi has caught Rodriguez. So now what do you do?
Well, that's team on team Jesse. So I think it would just be a big old fight. Obviously, 27 seconds to Flanagan now. Rodriguez is, so that's plus 6 from that pit stop of Flanagan. So Rodriguez is now going to have to think of the defensive against their own teammate. Obviously, they might be in each other's ears, so this might get heated wherever they are talking to each other, but we just have to see what happens. Only 5 minutes, 48 seconds to go, and this is one of the closest fights on the field. We've got Les and Miguel Martins, and then we've got Frala and Emo Plate close to each other as well. So a few more fights coming into play with the last few minutes of this race. It always happens tonight, Owl. We'll have the relaxed bit of the racing, and right at the end is where everyone starts to have a little bit of a fight to see who can take the position from the other person.
Well, I've been sitting here, I've been trying to do the maths, as you might expect, and trying to figure out where everybody is going to shake out after this race. Timothy Flamger might assume control of the Pro Championship here today if he goes on to win this race. Rodriguez is also, by virtue of having the pole position and the quickest lap, I don't think anyone's going to beat him for that, of course. They're going to get a boatload of points here tonight, no pun intended, and they're both going to skyrocket. Flamger came in 3rd in the points. Mariano Rodriguez was 5th. I think they might exit 1st and 3rd here today. That'd be huge for the both of them. Of course, that would only benefit Rodriguez if Gigi stayed behind them. It might be a little tougher if Gigi was to pass Rodriguez, but that's a team. They get to decide their own fate. Les Stevenson, with this win here today, has driven themselves back into the Silver Championship with Sandro Simoes, who looks like a probable P2 in the Silver category tonight. And Callum Kerrigan will finish just one step off of the overall podium, but again, it's not going to change too much for them. The big winner will be Les here tonight. And once again, if you're just joining us, yes, some of the cars do not have headlights on. Yes, they actually do have headlights on. The meatball flag that you can see right there is being waved because they don't have headlights on. That's on our end. On their end, they're completely fine. They do have headlights on. I'm sure all the other drivers know that they have headlights on. That's just a little bit of a desync issue. It happens from time to time. Sim racing, in it.
Window is now closed.
It sure is, but pit window has closed. Everyone has done their pit requirements, apart from obviously Gomez, the number 60 Lamborghini, had problems 20 laps ago early on in the race. Not sure what happened. Could be hardware, could be real life. Hopefully everything is okay with that driver. But yeah, Ramos did do their pit stops, so they did know there was 2 pit stops to do. And they are 16th place overall in front of Lawson. But yeah, there's still a few fights going on. Oliver Curtin is now trying to challenge Callan Kerrigan, only about a second behind in the back. Fight for 11th place overall. So we'll just have to wait and see. Ferrari on the Lexus. The non-lit Lexus. As,
not
is.
lit for us. I would assume lit for Olivier Kierton and the Kraken Engineering 111 Ferrari. Of little consequence. There are still lights on the car, even if the headlights aren't on full beam. Certain cameras will pick up that the headlights are on. Others perhaps may not. But either way, the pass is made. Kierton has gone through. And that's of little consequence for Callum. Not a position in class. They still get to hold on to 4th. No reason to hold up a charging Belgian Kierton. And that's exactly what happened there. A little co-opetition, as I like to say, 2 minutes away from the end of the race here today. Big shout out to AK Esports for more on what they can do to help you with your esports series management. Check them out, akesports.it. They're invaluable to us. They help us with all of the facets of our server hosting, and we couldn't do it without them. The World Tour would not be the same without AK Esports.
Oh, the 280 is off left hand side of the track. Now that's Callan Kerrigan. The 111 for Oliver Curtin just a few minutes ago we saw on the cameras was a tactical let through or just span on their own.
Yeah, it's just a spin. We saw a lot of that early on in the race. Not so much once the drivers got settled in and a line got put down on the racetrack, but that doesn't mean that the threat's gone. Sometimes a wet racetrack can lull you into a false sense of security. You get incredibly comfortable, and all of a sudden, you try to pick up a little extra pace, and then all the grip comes out from under you, and it shakes your faith in yourself and the racetrack a little bit. The good news for Callum, of course, is that I don't believe they've lost the position. They were so far ahead of 5th, it hasn't really mattered. Just a little frustrating moment, which I'm sure doesn't help him enjoy Indianapolis any more than they already were doing.
Well, you see the number 19 on the right hand side on the track map. The triangle, that is your leader of Dimitri Flamkin in that McLaren. Coming round to the second to last corner, 15 seconds left to go. They did cross when it was 1 minute 40 on the timer, and it's 1 minute 40 for a lap time. So let's see if they do one more. I don't think they will.
He's going to hit the brakes. There's no way he's going to do another lap. And he will cross the line. No, he didn't even have to hit the brakes there.
He's doing it, but he's flashing. You haven't won.
No, the race is over.
He has won.
Timothy Flamger has won it for Alpha Sim Sport, and he's taken himself back into the championship conversation in pro. Congratulations to Flamger and Alpha Sim Sports. Mariano Rodriguez for Gomez Sim Racing will wonder what might have been, but you know what? They made lemonade out of lemons here tonight. They had an uphill battle, went back down to 5th from the pole, recovered most of that, got the quickest lap, got the pole position. They're going to take a boatload of points to them for the final couple of rounds. Emiliano Gigi, P3 in the pro category. A well-done podium for the 333. It's an all McLaren top 3 here tonight. Martins comes home in 4th. Les Stevenson wins it in the silver class, and he also puts his name in the championship conversation in silver. Samoes is going to come home in P2 for Carburate Racing. And what an excellent day it was for them. Gore Fox battled inside the top 2 or 3 all day. They will take home 3rd and some well-earned points as well. Mike Redford, the final spot inside the top 10. A race like this, Ted, you just kind of breathe a sigh of relief when it's over, don't you?
Sure do. Wet, dark, and yeah, it's difficult. They've got through it. Obviously, Redford and Malcolm did not like the Ferrari here, but Redford did make it. Unfortunately, Malcolm didn't. They hit the wall in the final corner and got the DT. That's what happened there, Jesse. Very unfortunate,
That's literally what I said is the worst way to
but
get a
yeah,
drive-through penalty.
yeah.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking. There's always next week, of course, and a lot of drivers will be thinking along those lines. Results of tonight's race confirmed pending post-race penalties in stewarding, of course. Flamger, Rodriguez, Gigi, Stevenson, Simoes, and Fox, your top three in both categories. Ted Edwards, let's talk to your race winner, Timothy Flamger.
Oh, nice win today, Timothy. How was it out there? You had such a good lead from the start and at the end there. What was your strategy? Because obviously we saw you pit later than everyone else. Was that intentional or was that just bouncing off um, the other drivers?
No, I was starting on the front row, so I figured I'd take the no-brainer and just do 20-20-20 and split the race into thirds.
Yeah, but that's what I would have done. Very well done indeed. So, how was your car in the wet, in the dark? Indy, is it one of
Oh,
your favorite tracks or is it one of your least favorite tracks?
it's kind of in the middle. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's too bumpy and the surface is really, really slippery. I'd say this went perfectly. Rodriguez was crazy fast in practice and qualifying, so he certainly made me nervous. But you know that adage where they say you can't win a race in turn one, but you can definitely lose it? I have to question that because it feels like I kind of won this one in turn one.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah, you got the upper hand over the 85 and just sort of just sailed away with it. Didn't have anyone really to get in your way. The back markers did the right thing. They moved out of the way and it seemed really easy for you today. Was there any point in the race that you had a mistake or anything? Because on our end, we didn't really see anything.
I think I had like 2 bad laps where I got a couple of tires in the grass and lost maybe half a second. But yeah, it was all pretty consistent the whole race. I mean, with the splitting the race into thirds, you don't really get into a lot of tire drag issues.
Jesse, do you have any questions for Mr. Flamger?
Sure do. Flamger, first of all, congratulations on another win. You're right back in the thick of this championship hunt. So let me ask you this. At what point, with 2 rounds left to go, does does it dawn on you this could be a repeat? You could be a 2-time champion, or is it too soon to even consider that notion?
I think it's way too soon. I'm not super good at Red Bull Ring yet, so who knows what's going to go on there. At least the McLaren is really good there, so that should help. And Oldham Park races with me are either good or a drive-through, so we'll see how that goes.
Can't wait to see it. Flamger's right back in the championship hunt. He wasn't too far out of it to begin with. Tonight, though, a little bit of an exclamation point on the season. He's a champion. He knows how to drive the thing around a wet Indianapolis. An American winning in Indy. Who knew? Back to you, Ted.
Yeah, very well done indeed. And we'll see you next week at Alton Park. Well, I won't. Jesse Lee will. So hopefully another good race for you.
Oh, isn't that 2 weeks?
Is it 2? It is 2 weeks. I do apologize. Yes, 2 weeks from now, from today.
That'd be really embarrassing if the driver told us, the people that do the thing, what our schedule is.
It's been a long day, Jesse.
Yeah, and I'm literally looking at the calendar website right now.
Cheating, see? He's cheating. All right, well done, Flamger.
Yeah, thank you. Great race. A bit sad to see so many people not here today, though.
Yeah, it is a shame, but I think that was down to the World Tour earlier on, and yes, but well, thank you for jumping in.
Yep. See you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner tonight, Timothy Flamger in the pro category. I have expected Les Stevenson to jump in here and do his typical, oh, it was a hard race. When in reality, he was just flat dominant here tonight. It was a slightly shaky start, but that gave way to a brilliantly ran and managed race for them as well. But just a great night of racing. You don't really know what you're going to get with a wet and dark Indianapolis. You see it so very infrequently. And tonight it was a pretty darn good race. A lot of good passes, some mistakes, of course, that led to some shocking exits, some penalties abound as well, mechanical issues. We ran the gamut here tonight, but we weren't disappointed. Some really good fights.
Yeah, and I actually chose the driver to win, and they did win this time,
You
Jesse.
did.
I know.
Ted Edwards picked the winning drive. I mean, so did I. I picked Les, but I said overall, and he
That's
didn't do
true.
that.
Where he wasn't. Well,
I
I wouldn't say he
distinctly
wasn't too
said
far
he's going to
away.
win overall. And hey, he led for a little bit.
He-
We didn't curse Ted. We didn't curse our driver picks.
That is true. I think you did jinx Malcolm though, unfortunately. But we'll gloss over that.
I don't know how you're going to blame me for that. I refuse to accept blame. Folks, we'll be back with you live here on Monday for the continuation of the GT4 and TCX championships. That, of course, on Monday. We'll be right back with you next Saturday or in 2 weeks, perhaps, if Timothy Flamger is to be believed. I suspect he is, for Alton Park. But now, in the interim, let's talk to your silver champion, Les Stevenson. Ted, take it away.
Mr. Les Stevenson, Lexus driver. How was that race for you today? How was the tires on the Lexus? Is the main question I would like to ask.
Are you doing a bit of digging there, Ted?
Maybe.
That was simply awesome. The most concentration I've had to pay in one race. It was full on. I think I pretty much was lock to lock most laps. And the tyres were very odd. That's all I can say. But what a race. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I finally got a win.
You did, and very well done indeed. 4th overall as well, and so lock to lock. So you're just sliding everywhere. Is that the rear end, or was you getting some understeer and then that ended up in oversteer, or is it just Lexus things?
No, I don't know if it was just like, I think it was a lack of experience in this car, really, to be honest, more than anything. But it was just a bit odd. The rear end was always trying to come round on me, and I was always forever having to correct. And there wasn't really a massive amount of rain, so it was a bit odd. I'd have one lap where I'd be super quick, and then the very next lap I'd be a second slower. So it was quite odd. But it looked like it wasn't just me that was experiencing those lap times as well. So, but no, look, I'll take it. I'll take that. I mean, to qualify in the top 5 as well overall, I just couldn't believe it when I saw the result. I was very chuffed, to say the least.
Yeah, you did very well, and at one point you was faster than Timothy Flamger on lap pace. So very well done on that one as well. No, I'm not lying.
Shut the front door.
I'm not lying. I was watching them because I was trying to see what Rodriguez was doing compared to Flamger to see what was happening. And I noticed Mr. Les Stevenson went faster, and Timothy Flamger seems like he was probably either just trying to keep the car on the track and not make a mistake, or he was struggling and you wasn't. But yeah, very well done.
Yeah. No, thanks, Ted. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is the Lexus is a lot of fun to drive. It does take a bit of getting used to, but I can't say enough about go setups. It's literally pretty much jump in and drive at a go setup, and you're there. You're halfway there anyway. And in these sort of conditions, it really paid off. But I didn't use a wet setup before anyone else. It was a dry setup.
Oh, is that due to how much water was on the track?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I tried in the practice sessions with this similar type of rain, and the wet setup was it was slower. It was simply slower. That's the only way to put it. It didn't feel any different. It just was slower. So, but yeah, went for a dry setup, and it paid off.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Les Stevenson, Jesse Lee?
Les, you've made it 2 on the season now, and with this win here today, you have clawed yourself back into the championship conversation. If you can keep this pace up, we might be looking at champion Les Stevenson. What do you think about that?
I mean, champion of Night Owl would be a hell of a something go on the list of things ticked off. I mean, yeah, it's always been a series I've always wanted to do. I've unfortunately, well, up until now, I've not been able to attend all the races, but yeah, I mean, I actually I did forget about Donington. I know I won that one, but it was more of a lot more luck involved in that one. But this one was outright pace, and this one will always forever stick in the memory. But Yeah, no, I'm well chuffed. And if I can get the championship win, I'll be over the moon.
Are you surprised at all this is coming in the Lexus of all cars?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely been reborn, that's for sure. Uh, I would, yeah, I mean, it's a rocket ship down the straight. And I mean, tonight, I mean, I honestly thought the BMWs were going to be, pretty much, pulling away down the straights, but actually it was the other way around. And I was able to gain on the straights with especially with the BMWs. And yeah, I was shocked at how much faster it was down the straight. But yeah, no, I'm super chuffed. And I'm surprised you didn't get my pun when I said I was going to be over the moon. I was a little bit disappointed, Jesse.
Very funny indeed. Les, congratulations on another fantastic win here at Night Owl Season 17. We'll see you in a couple weeks back when we go back to your place, Alton Park, where we hope to see you continue this excellent run. Ladies and gentlemen, winner in silver, Les Stevenson.
Thanks, chaps. And yeah, see you next week.
Well, that's going to just about do it from us here, folks. Just a reminder, the Midweek Masters Championship is ongoing. You can sign up for that. That series runs on Wednesday. You can sign up for the Monday Touring Car and GT4 Multi-Class race. Heck, you can sign up for the final two races of Night Owl if you want. And don't forget, KTM Masters goes live this Friday. And if we get enough signups, we'll stream the races. We don't care. We're just crazy enough to do it. Two types of KTM, the GT2 and the GT4 variant. The choice is up to you in a multi-race campaign. That pushed back 1 week to allow others to sign up if they so wish. That's going to be an absolute corker of a series as well. World Tour, if you missed round one, still time to get your team involved for round number 2 in April, the 12-hour of Paul Ricard. Pay attention to the website, racerci.com, for more information about this series and upcoming series, including new iRacing champs perhaps in the near future, foreshadowing, of course. Ted, take us out.
Yeah, thank you everyone who joined us tonight in the chat, and obviously the drivers as well. Thank you, Ash Bibi, for jumping in for the broadcast, helping Jesse Lee out. Jesse, we have one more interview. Can we squeeze one more interview in?
Mariano Rodriguez, we're about to end stream, but we saw you waiting. We're going to give you a couple of speed round questions. Ted, go.
How was your race?
Oh, what a race. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. It's my first race here in Indianapolis.
Oh, is it? Well,
that was your first race.
Yeah. I never race here.
Ted.
At night and rain.
Ted, his first race was in the rain, and he took the pole by a large margin and had the fastest lap.
I trained a lot.
Oh, very well indeed. We know Gigi doesn't really speak much English. That's why you're here as well, to speak on their behalf. As a team, how was it? Obviously, was there team orders when you was behind Gigi? Obviously, you had a little bit of a mistake in, I think it was second to last corner. You went across the grass and lost a few positions. When you got behind Emiliano, was there a little bit of team orders to say, can I just get nipped through because I am a little bit faster?
Yeah. It was a team order because I was fast and much more than them. And I am all sweating. Oh my God! In Argentina there are 28 degrees.
Oh,
it's plenty summer, so I hit off my t-shirt and go to garbage.
28 degrees, Jesse. That is pretty warm over there. It was quite warm here tonight and today in the UK, but yeah, not as warm as over there for you. But yeah, very well done to get the second place and third place for the team.
Yeah.
How are you looking forward to Alton Park in 2 weeks' time? Is it a track you've driven before?
I never ran in Alton.
Another track back to back.
So I expect another pole and fastest lap.
I don't know.
Another podium.
Another podium? I don't know. Outlaw, maybe in the racing I race, but I don't remember really. I don't think so. No. And first, Emiliano, bueno, she can speak English. Me too, me no. But it was a great race of Emiliano. All correctly. Don't make the mistake I make. Don't put dry in the first pit stop. So it was a great race for Emiliano. So congrats to her.
Very well done to you both, and thank you for coming for an interview. It's nice to
Yes, thank you very much.
yeah, it's
You're
very nice
welcome,
to have different
My
people
English
come.
not perfect, but
No, you've done very well, and we understood you perfectly. Obviously English not your first language is
no.
not easy. Like I can't speak any other languages, so
Hold
The
on,
last time-
hold on. I can. Mariano, speed round. Comida favorita?
Asado.
Sí, bueno. Color favorito?
Color favorito, verde, green.
Bueno, bueno.
You
Gracias.
speak nice. Hablas bien.
Oh, there you go. Some Spanish language for your broadcast here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mariano Rodriguez put on an absolute show driving back through that field tonight. Gracias. Thank you for coming and joining us.
You're welcome. Gracias a todos. Saludos a Gómez Sim Racing. Gracias por traerme.
Let's go. I love it.
Oh,
I love this community. Well, there you have it. We've got everything all buttoned up here tonight, Ted. It was a brilliant broadcast, and it's going to be a race that lives long in the memory just because of how hard fought some of those positions where you heard Rodriguez say it himself, just absolutely drenched in sweat. That's how hard this track tested them today. Some drivers didn't crack under that pressure.
sure didn't Jesse Lee, but well, unfortunately it's come to an end. We're gonna have to wait for 2 weeks until we get to round 5 of Alton Park. Sorry, I've just lost my words. Jesse Lee will be there. I won't be, unfortunately, but I'll probably be watching it through the night. So I'll join you in the chat to say hello. But yeah, until then, it's been me, it's been Jesse Lee, and it's been Ashby Beyond the Cameras. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you later.
Hasta luego.